been in standout form in 2017.
He's a rookie and a Player of the Year nominee for a reason. He's played really, really well, so an exciting challenge for somebody to have to step up and do that job. So I've got plenty of faith in the bloke we're going to probably pick. He's going all right, so see how he goes.
Steve Hansen. Seta Tamani-Valu could be an option on the wing, while Patrick Tuipulotu could play at lock after he was cleared of a dangerous tackle from last week's game against a French 15. Ioane will stay with the team to attend next week's World Rugby Player Awards, where he's a finalist for Player of the Year and Breakthrough Player of the Year. Wing Hani Hidemir scored 6 tries as the Kiwi Ferns gave New Zealand League fans something to cheer about with a 76-0 thrashing of the Cook Islands in their World Cup clash in Sydney. The unbeaten Kiwi Ferns play their final pool game against Papua New Guinea on Wednesday. Meanwhile, New Zealand Rugby League Chief Executive Alex Hayton admits the game has a lot of work to do to win back the support of the community after the Kiwis' shock exit from the World Cup. Hayton says the losses to Tonga and Fiji have damaged the Kiwis' brand, and the NZRL will be conducting a thorough independent review to assess how to rebuild.
I don't want to take anything away from those two teams, but yes, we are disappointed, and yeah, we will go through the review and look to what we can do better to make sure that we get back into the hearts of New Zealanders.
Alex Hayton. Coach David Kidwell's contract is now up, and he says he needs more time to decide whether he'll seek reappointment. Olympic equestrian Clark Johnston has become just the third New Zealander to win the 4-star Australian International event in Adelaide, and all-white Winston Reid's football club West Ham United remain in the relegation zone of the English Premier League after a 2-0 loss at Watford and new manager David Moyes' first game in charge of the Hammers. Koina ngā kārere, tākaro.
Last time on Checkpoint.
The gates were open, they were allowed to wander wherever they liked. We had buses that run 6 to 9 trips a day, go in, drop them off, come back, pick them up.
So what is your advice to New Zealand about its offer to accept up to 150 of these former detainees?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Checkpoint from 5 p.m. here on RNZ National. We're online on Facebook Live, on Freeview Channel 50 and on Face TV, Sky Channel 83.
You can listen to all RNZ's trusted news and current affairs reporting on our app from rnz.co.nz/listen/app. The forecast from Met Service to midnight, Northland to Waikato, including Coromandel, partly cloudy, isolated showers this afternoon and evening. Waitomo to Kapiti, including Bay of Plenty and the central high country. Fine apart from areas of morning cloud. Gisborne and Hawke's Bay, rain becoming light and patchy this morning, fine breaks from afternoon. Wairarapa and Wellington, cloudy at times, isolated light showers from afternoon. Nelson, Marlborough, Buller, Westland and Fiordland, mostly fine, isolated showers in the ranges this afternoon. Canterbury, cloudy at times, isolated showers in the high country this afternoon and evening. Otago and Southland, cloudy with patchy drizzle for Southland and eastern Otago. Elsewhere, a few showers from afternoon. Chatham Islands, cloudy with a few light showers. In the main centres, Auckland, partly cloudy, chance of an afternoon or evening shower. Light winds and afternoon sea breezes, 22 the high. Tauranga, cloud clearing to fine this morning. Southerlies die out in the evening, 23 degrees. Hamilton, morning cloud then fine. There might be a shower or two this afternoon or evening. Light winds and 24 degrees. Wellington, partly cloudy, chance of a shower in the south from afternoon, southerlies and 16. Christchurch, cloud at times, overcast from evening, southerly breezes 18. Dunedin, occasional drizzle turning to a few showers in the afternoon, southerly breezes and a high of 17. This is RNZ National, on air, online and Freeview Channel 50. It's 8:10.
And you're with Morning Report. President Robert Mugabe is addressing the nation live at the moment, but he hasn't given any indication so far as to whether he's stepping down. However, when he says so, if indeed he does, or there's any other breaking news, we will certainly cross to that. But now we're joined in the studio by Andrew Little. He's fresh from a ceremony with families of Pike River victims yesterday. He's the Pike River Minister, and he'll be presenting options for re-entering the mine's drift to Cabinet later this morning. Mr Little spent yesterday's 7th anniversary of the disaster at the mine with the families and presented them with the keys to the gate leading up to the mine. Good morning.
Good morning, Phil.
What are you going to tell Cabinet today?
Cabinet's decision today is really just about the options for setting up an agency. That's what the commitment in the coalition agreement between Labour and New Zealand First was. So setting up the agency that will then do the work of putting together the project for re-entering the mine. One of the core principles to that is obviously involving the families, and the commitment I've made to them is to involve them every step of the way. The families have said that one of the guiding principles they want is safety, and that's the number one principle for the whole project, is safety of those involved. So that will bear upon whatever decision we take.
It's 7 years, though. An agency, after 7 years, to start looking at options sounds rather slow.
Well, we've been in government for, is it 3 weeks or 4? I'm not quite sure. And I think really that the recent history of this whole issue and the Pike River families and their wish to get into the mine, to see what's there, recover any remains that might be in the drift, but also actually if there's any evidence about what might have been the cause or what might have happened. I mean, that's what they're wanting. But the reality is the families have been kept very much at arm's length from the government up till now. They have felt excluded. They felt as if their voices weren't being heard. I've made it a priority to involve them, get them around the table, not just with me, but with the officials who will be doing the work.
Have you actually gotten information, though, from the government? Now you're in government. Have you had a look at work must have been done up until now. Is there no information that you can actually build on?
Oh, sure. Look, I've seen some of the reports that were prepared for the previous government. It's certainly some of the risk assessment reports. And whereas I think we were being told that re-entry or manned re-entry, as they say, is completely impossible, therefore they were embarking on this unmanned kind of remote-controlled device re-entry. Actually,
you think it's safer than that?
Well, the reports don't say it's impossible. They say, of course, manned re-entry is possible. There are risks, and most of those risks can be managed. So it's now a question about saying, well, okay, if there is a possibility, then let's work towards that. That's the commitment that the coalition government has made. Let's work towards that re-entry. We know there will be risks. Let's get the technical advice and the expert advice, see what we can mitigate, get to the end of that point, and we'll have it peer-reviewed, and I'll have an advisor to me as Minister. And when it gets to the point of making a decision,
do you know how long that will take? We
will have good information. Can't predict the information. I mean, the aim is to have this project set up for, it'll be just a little bit over a year. The work has to get done. We need a plan. All the risk assessments have to be done. If there is going to be a re-entry, it'll be
not before the 8th anniversary.
It'll be the back half of next year. And certainly we were saying at the anniversary yesterday that perhaps by this time next year we will have a different story to tell. But you can't rush these things. You want to do the work, do it properly, and do the best we can.
So those families, you gave them the key to the gate to the Pike River mine, that sort of symbolic gesture. How are they? You've mentioned that they're concerned about safety, but do you think they could accept if you say to them, in the end, we can't do anything, we can't go in there?
This is the whole project, and ultimately the decision will be one that they are intimately and integrally involved in. That's what the commitment is. That's what they need. That's what they've been looking for. They know the dangers and the risks, and they'll get access to all the reports. I should add to you, one of the other principles that I'm very keen to operate by for this whole project is openness and transparency to the public. So the intention is to have a website where the advice that I get and that the families get will be publicly available on a website. So this is about making sure that everybody understands what the critical factors are for this decision before a final decision gets made.
And also, I understand the MB is going to speak to the families later this week. What are they going to be telling them, the ministry?
Well, the families, certainly in the last couple of weeks, have already been working with MB officials. The MB officials are the ones responsible for the work that's been happening up to now, providing Cabinet signs off on setting up this separate agency. Then eventually the separate agency will take over that work. But the families will be involved every step of the way. So the meeting this week is just a continuation of that process.
All right, thank you very much for joining us in the studio this morning. That's the Pike River Re-entry Minister, Andrew Little, and it's 8:15.
And there is a building on fire in Queen Street in Auckland. Let's go there now. Jessie Chang is a reporter who is at the scene. Good morning to you, Jessie. What's happening?
Morning, Guy.